Hi everyone and happy Monday. We have a lovely planner page today from Johanna Basford's Lost Ocean. Now this is quite a complex page. I have to admit I've looked at it a few times and wondered what to do with it. So I thought I would talk you through what my approach has been in thinking about how to go about this page really before I sort of start, because I know sometimes when there's a complex page with a lot going on, although this isn't as complex as some admittedly, it can be a little bit daunting. So I firstly had to think about the water. Got quite a lot of water here, and I've decided that I'm going to do that with a soft pastel at the end. And what I probably will do is not only do these areas but actually do it all over, because we're looking through the water. So the fact that I have planned that means that I have to be careful with what I'm doing, because if I leave any white paper, that's going to turn into blue when I put my pastel over the top. That might be fine, but it might not be. For example, my sails, if I left them white, they would go very blue. If I leave them with a little bit of white and a bit of blue shows through, maybe that's okay because it will just give the illusion of looking through the water. But if I left them completely white, I think they might look a little odd. So that has sort of helped me with a little bit of my planning. And the next stage is the other big area of background. So if we look carefully, we can see that this bit here, starting here and going all the way down here, is like a sort of piece of rock or cliff. So it comes down here, but also along the ground here. So there's that bit to fill in as well. Now again, we could use the soft pastel for that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use a pencil for that bit and then a soft pastel for the background. So that is where I'm going to start, and that sort of got me going really. And I'm thinking also, I was thinking I'd do this brown, but we've got the wood of the ship to do as well. So I thought if I do this bit a sort of reddish brown, then the ship can be a dark brown. That was my thinking. So I'm going to make a start. I like to tuck that under a bit. Oh, that's a little bit close. I'm going to actually stay zoomed out for this bit because there's quite a big area. And I've decided to use my Ergosofts today. Don't feel like I've used them for a while. So that's really the only reason why. Now the reddish browns, there are these two. Whoops. These two in my 36 set, number 73 and number 49. Now if you've got the 24 set, I think you may only have one of these, so just pick the one that you've got. What I'm going to do is use the lightest one first and then use the darker one to make some areas darker. And I'm basically going to just colour all of this background in this light coloured pencil in it as even a layer as I can, which isn't always easy with the Ergosoft, but I'm going to give it a go. So down here we've got these circles. I'm going to ignore those at the minute, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, are those bubbles or are they little rocks? I think I probably do them as rocks. I'm colouring over the edges of them by mistake at the minute. I'm not going to worry about that. And you see we've got down here, we've got a barrel and a treasure chest, and those are doing the darker brown, so they stand out from this bit. I'm trying to do trying to keep it fairly even, but because it's rock, it doesn't matter that much. We're using our Ergosofts not just because I haven't used them for a while, but because I wanted a pencil that can hold its point quite well and can go quite sharp, because we've got a lot of little details to colour around. So that makes it a lot easier and quicker to get around those details with a sharper pencil. So that's all good as well. If you don't have Ergosofts, use something else that you've got. It's quite nice to use a soft pencil-ish, but that keeps its point, which is where I get the sort of Ergosofts I find are quite a good compromise. Whereas if I use something like a Prisma very thin, I feel that it's quite hard to describe. Although it blends nicely, I find that it doesn't seem to cover such a nice area so evenly when I do a background with it. I wouldn't really use it for that sort of thing normally. A polychromos would be good as well for this sort of background. What else would I recommend? You could use a Prismacolor, but you'd have to keep sharpening it, which I know isn't always good. I'm sure something really high quality like a Luminance or a Holbein would cope well. I haven't got them myself. Well, I've only got whites in luminance and a few pastels in Holbein. My Holbein seem to be shrinking quite quickly though. They don't break easily, so I think they're quite soft as well, and they seem to disappear, which when you pay so much money, sort of think, ooh. So that's something that hard pencils have in their advantage, is that they don't sort of vanish so quickly. So I'm just trying to do all the areas. I was tempted, I'm just trying to see where the end of it is, to do this off camera because I thought it might be boring, but I'm in the mood for chattering, so it's more like a colour and chat than a tutorial for this little bit. But I hope that's okay. But yeah, so I think that's about it about what to use to colour. So I hope you're all doing okay. We're all good here. Just been hanging around before making the video, trying to had to make a few phone calls. It's always things so much to organise at the moment, but that's okay. And I'm expecting some post today, which is very exciting. Always exciting when there's post on the way, so that's good. I've got nothing too exciting has happened. It's raining, that's exciting. We Brits have to tell you about the weather. Well, it's actually dry at the minute, it has been raining. See, when I did that, it was a little bit liney, so I just went over it again. It just hides it a little bit. But what I'm hoping is that it doesn't matter if this background isn't perfectly neat, because I want the foreground to stand out. Now here it's really complicated, I think, with regards to what's background and what's not. So I have to look quite carefully and think, oh, my phone's ringing, hold on. I'm back again. It was just a spam call. This call is from Bank Security, so she said. It makes me cross, these nasty calls, trying to con people. I know people that have been conned, several people actually. My father-in-law, someone got hold of got into his email and emailed his whole inbox, his whole address book, sorry, telling people that he was, as if it was from him, saying he was abroad and he couldn't get out and he needed money. And one of his friends, several of his friends, emailed him back going, "Are you all right?" No, phoned him. That's right, to see if thankfully nobody got caught out by it. But it really annoyed him actually, because everyone kept getting in touch and asking if he was all right. I mean, he didn't mind chatting to his friends, obviously, but it's like, really, he was annoyed that these people were worried about him when he was completely fine. So that was not good. But my cousin had one of those people pretending to be Microsoft or BT, and telling her that her computer had a virus, and she let them onto her computer and they broke it. So, and they said she had to pay hundreds of pounds to unlock it, and she just didn't have the money. So it's really sad. You sort of think, oh, surely everybody by now knows about these scams, but my dad actually fell for one the other day too. It said you've got a parcel, you need to pay some money and we'll re-deliver it. And in the UK you never pay money for a re-delivery of a parcel. If someone hasn't put a stamp on your letter, or they haven't put a high enough value stamp on your letter, try and decide whether to colour in these bits or leave them. See, this one has got something growing through it, so obviously that must be see-through, and so must that. You can do the same here. So here, yes, if someone hasn't paid the postage, you get a card through the door from the postman, through your letterbox, saying to you that there is a parcel at the sorting office and you have to go there and pay the money to pick it up. And you would never have to do it by email, how would they know your email address? You know? So he had to cancel his card. I told him straight away when luckily he told me about it, and I said, that's a scam. And so he cancelled his card. It meant he was without a debit card for a while. But no, he was like surprised. He said, no money's been taken. I was like, well, no, but maybe it takes some time to do that. But anyway, he luckily he was okay. But there are charities in the UK for older people, like I think it's called Age UK, and they have on their website a list of some of the latest scams to try and help people. But it's tricky because if they're phone scams, some people don't have computers, so they don't get to know about them. Now let's have a quick look. I'm happy with that as a base. Okay, it was, but I'm going to take my darker pencil and add some details. Now there are different things you can do. I am going to put a little darker bit, around the edge, on the edge of it, just for interest really. You could do all sorts of dark and light areas. There's a bit there I've missed. Oops. So sorry, this is number 473. You could do some dark and light areas and splodges. You could do a dark area there and there and there if you wanted to. Because it's rock, it wouldn't be even. But I'm just doing a bit on the edge and I'll see how it looks. Now I realise we haven't done much with this boat. Now all these squares could potentially be see-through. And these are, we can see through here, and you sort of think, do we need to do the colour the background through the window? I'm going to make it much simpler than that, so we don't have to worry about that. So I'm doing this quite quickly. You can spend more time if you want to. As I say, I'm hoping that this background will just sort of drop back and we won't really see it, and we can concentrate on making the foreground stand out. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. It's quite basic. That's okay. Right, my next task I want to do is to work on the dark brown areas. We have the ship. We have the barrels. That's probably it. So we'll come in a little closer to this part. There we go. And I'm going to do the ship first. I'm going to use, we've got 2 dark browns in our set. I'm going to use the slightly lighter one first, which is the number 76. Again, if you've only got one, just use the one. And if you're going to darken it, like here where we darken this, you could use a black to do that, or just another layer of the same colour. So I'm going to try to avoid colouring those windows. In fact, I've decided I'm going to do all the windows in grey, and actually I'm going to do them first. I think that will be easier than trying to colour around them with the dark. If I press hard and burnish this grey into them, I mean, I realise I'm making it look like it's glass. I don't think it should, to be honest. I think it's supposed to be see-through, but I'm making it easy on myself by doing them grey. Now, of course, it's a shipwreck. They'd be broken. They wouldn't all be intact, but simple. Let's keep it easy. You know, I don't want to make it too difficult for myself. No, it's a fun Monday project. Now these are see-through, but I'm going to ignore those and do the ones that are through here for now. They're quite small. I think it's quite fun how we've got all these plants intertwined with the boat, ship, boat. I'm not very good at that. My husband used to work with an ex-naval officer and he knows the difference. And it's very important, but I can't. I know a boat is usually a smaller vessel, but that's all I could tell you. So we'll just do these in grey. We could make them, we could do some diagonal stripes to make them look more shiny, like glass-like. But where would the light be reflecting from? Well, under the sea. Okay, back to our number 76. Now it should be a bit easier to do these without worrying quite so much about avoiding going over those squares. I'm going to leave them for a minute and just do this bit. It's quite simple and fast. Now around the edge of that porthole I shall probably do black. I think it would probably really be silver, but because the window is grey, there's no way I'm going to be able to put a silver in there and it not look really similar to the window. So I am going to do it black instead. And we can still make it look shiny if we want to, I'll show you. Now I'm sort of thinking and quite tempted to do another layer of the pale brown on the rock part. It's a difficult decision because it looks a little bit messy, and if I put another layer on I can tidy it up. But it will make it darker, and I don't really want it darker because it will, I've said already I want the foreground to stand out. What I could do is use a slightly lighter colour like this one. That's number 16. And I might do that. I might do it off camera. Now this is going to be a series. There's no way I can get this all done in one video. So I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to try and do those bits through there a little bit darker, just by putting a bit more colour down, a few more layers of the colour, and down here even darker. I'm going to leave that for now. So yeah, I might do that off camera. I'm going to think, I'll let you know before I finish this bit of the video, and let you know what I'm going to do. Just trying to neaten this up a bit, and obviously we want to go in between each window quite carefully. I don't want to, because it's intricate, it's quite easy to press harder. I don't really want to do that, so I'm just concentrating a little bit. Now I've also decided that because there's a lot going on in this picture, I want to make some of the parts of it the same colour so that it sort of pulls it together really. So I've decided that all the fish are going to be the same colour as each other, and all these, oh you can't see, all the plants and these sort of bits, like the corally bits, all the same colour as well. Now we do have a few other odd bits that will be different, such as the there's a turtle which is very cute, and what else is there? There's a crab as well, which will be a little bit different. Right, this is all the lighter brown bits. I'm just trying to make it fairly even as I can. And now I'm going to grab the darker brown, which is the 77. I'm going to do this bit in here because I think that's, I don't know if that's just the deck or if we're looking down inside the boat. It's probably the deck, isn't it? But doing it a different colour I think sort of makes sense. Like that. And now I also want to look where it overlaps here. I think this bit be a bit darker. I'm just going to put a darker line in there, and hopefully that will make it look a little bit further away to give the boat a bit of depth. And I'm just going to emphasize these lines because it's sort of wood, isn't it? So it's a bit like the different planks. Oops. Like that, quite rough, and then just a few other lines all over it where we would have bits of wood grain. I think it's quite good because it makes it look a bit more woody, but it also hides any scruffiness in the colouring because it looks more like it's intentional. Now, inside the boat here, it's going to be quite dark. But we have these barrels as well, which I want to do in wood. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to use this dark brown, but do it quite dark. So rather than keeping it quite light, press quite hard. I don't know what that is supposed to be. Now again, it might be a bit easier to do the items before the background. I've started it this way now, and it means I have to be ever so careful to make sure that I don't go over the top, because this is quite a dark colour. It's going to be a little more difficult to erase. Now this is the sort of stage where you need to start thinking about what colour you want to do your sort of critters and plants and coral. Now I'm probably going to stick to what I tend to do. Now the fish, I like doing them orange like goldfish. I know it's a bit almost childish to do fish in orange, but it makes them stand out because it's such a vibrant colour, which I like. Plus, I'm not going to be doing anything else in that colour. So here's the number 9, which is the black, and I'm going to do a little bit around the edge of here to just emphasise that it's going to be dark. Ooh! I am pressing too hard to emphasise it's going to be dark in there, and I think having that little extra black line just really helps to give that sort of gloomy feel. I mean, obviously we're under the water. Where's the light? There's no light. We wouldn't be able to see any of this, but you know, we have to use our imagination a bit. There, you could take that black further in, but I quite like it as just a border. Oh, while I've got my black, the portholes, I'm going to sort of ignore these little lines. What I'm going to do is make them very black there and a bit lighter there, so they look a little bit shiny. Why not? There we go. Now we have got our mast, and I'm thinking I'm going to go black. I've just noticed a bit of the boat that I've missed here. Ship, I think. Now the mast is broken, so you can see it's supposed to be wood. Now I had thought about doing it black, but I think we'll do it brown, but we use our darkest brown, so we use the 77, so it looks a little bit different to the ship. I'm going to do a light layer, and you'll see why. Just checking you can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes it's really tricky to see, and I'm going to do a darker bit here on each end, and it helps give a more spherical look to our mast. And then again this sort of darker edge to make it look slightly rounded. I think it's quite effective. I'm not going to be able to do it with this little bit though very well. It looks like it's quite a recently wrecked ship really, doesn't it, for this to just be resting there. It's quite fun. Where's the top of this bit of mast, I wonder? And it's all the same through. Now the colour of the sails is bothering me a bit. I'm really not sure. I always like to do white sails, but obviously that's not going to work with, as I was saying earlier, with the pastel. I'm trying to make that a bit more significant there. So I'm thinking hard about what to do. And I was thinking maybe a sort of slightly yellowy creamy colour, but then that's what I'm going to do for the rope, which I shall do now. I'm going to use this colour. This is 16, it's actually a gold colour, not a yellowy cream. I'm not going to worry too much about doing more than one colour or any bits of shading on it because it's very fine. But I rather like this goldy colour. It's quite good. It's a bit, reminds me, it's not the same sort of tone, but I use it in the same way as I would a green gold from the Polychromos. It's a really versatile colour and a great way to cheat when you're doing gold. If you've got small items. Now, I'm procrastinating doing the sail for a bit longer. I'm going to do the circular bits that the rope goes through in black. That one hasn't got on. We've got those across pieces. We need to do those in our darkest brown. Where's my darkest brown? Here it is, the 77. Like we were doing with the upward ones. We're not going to be able to do too much with regards to making them look rounded like we did with the mask because they're so small. I'm just looking, I think I'm going to use this colour for the sails, this number 43, sort of peachy colour. I'm trying to imagine what it might look like with the blue pastel on top of it, but I just can't. So, see, I was going to do the fish blue because that would be a bit different, but as we're doing a sort of blue, it would probably be blue or greeny blue pastel for the background. I thought probably wouldn't work. Now I'm just putting down an, I say even, I'm trying to put down a fairly even layer here of this colour, and then I shall think about where it might need to be darker or lighter in a minute. You can see that because these sails are all curly or curved or whatever, they're not going to be evenly coloured. There's going to be some shadow. So this one almost looks like a flag. Now this is really quite close to this colour, isn't it? Still. Right, so here where we're turned over, I'm going to make that bit darker. And let's have a think. That bit's going to catch the light, so I think that bit will be a little bit darker under there. And then maybe a bit darker here. I'm just going to sort of try and fade it a bit so that, like that. Now same here, get a little line of darker bit under this wood. It's quite difficult. Is that stick going inwards or outwards? I think it's outwards. So this bit's sticking in, so that bit's going to be more shadowy. Like that. And maybe here that. And then this one, we can see we've got these loopy bits. It's a very official term. I'll put a little bit of dark in there and here, like that, to emphasize those shadowy bits. That's a forward. I think it might be a bit darker here. And maybe down here, there. Yeah, I think I'll leave that like that. Now, I'm going to make that do for today. Done a fair bit. What I am going to definitely do is do another layer of colour on this bit. I'm not happy with that. I think it's messy. I know I said I wanted it to fade back, but I think it's just too messy for my liking. So I'm going to go back to the 49 and do a layer. And if, oops, sorry, just hit my remote control. And if I'm not happy with that, I shall go in again with a layer of the 16. Okay, and what I would suggest is you might want to do the same thing. You might not. You might be happy with how yours looks. Yours might be a lot neater than mine. So see what you think. I mean, another option is to use a blending pencil, but I think mine is beyond saving with a blending pencil. It needs more colour down. It's not going, a blending pencil is not going to be enough, especially with these pencils. They don't smush around that easily. So I'm going to leave it there. I will, as I say, there'll be another video tomorrow where we'll continue, and I will tell you whether I used just the 49 or if I used the 16 as well, and then you will be able to judge quite what you want. But the photo at the end would actually just, I've just taken it, so it's just really the boat, the ship. So anyway, have a lovely day. Have a little play around with this, and as I say, tomorrow there'll be a bit more. But thank you for watching and happy colouring.